Olá, hello people. Here is Professor Eduardo Alexander speaking, and today we will start a class about the fundamentals of Qigong. And I'm sorry for my voice. The Qi in my voice is a bit disturbed. And so let's start with this term here. The idea of the class is about to understand what are the foundations for the practice of Qigong and also the ideas behind the scene of the Qigong. And for you to understand essentially what we say in our school is that we should not waste our time. This is one direction that one of my masters would give me. That is the idea that if you practice Qigong with all the fundamentals of the practice in your body, you can maximize the effect of the Qi cultivation. That is the real thing about it. So the main point about Qigong is to be able to cultivate, to create life force. More cultivate than creation. You're not creating life force. That would be an issue for gods, but you are cultivating the life force that is universal inside your body. And so Qigong, it's a term that is very generic. So in terms of what it means is one thing, and in terms of how to practice is another thing, completely different. So it's still in this thread of what does it mean. It is composed by the word chi, and we have here the word chi in this um, drawing in this cauldron, right? And it is composed by the image of rice and the image of the cooking, the vapors that arise from the cooking of rice. So chi is an metaphor for a kind of energy. Energy is not good translation. It's a kind of subtle substance that arises from a source of nourishment, that is the rice, or a source of life, that is the rice, right? So chi is best translated as life force, and it comes to and it enters what we call vital or vitality based medicines or therapeutic process. And one of the characteristics of the chi is that it can be cultivated, and the other is that it can be accumulated. So, qigong is the art of cultivating and accumulating chi. The other part of the word, that is kong, it is about, it can be translated as a skill, but it is a kind of skill that you only acquire through practice, uh, from doing repeatedly something. It's about excellence, would be exis is the Greek word for that. That is something that you acquire by doing So Qigong would be understood as the art of cultivating the Qi by acquiring a skill to do it, acquiring um, a skill of cultivating life force. So this is the general idea behind the term Qigong. Uh, and when we comes from the term to the practice, then there is a huge gap because you can see 10,000 different forms or 10,000 different ways of practicing uh, the ability to cultivate chi. Uh, and so, to better understand this word, you can have the applications that are more related to the field that you are in. So, suppose you are a therapist, you can have medical qigong. So you are going to develop certain abilities with life force that are abilities to move chi in the so-called meridians in the body to heal someone. Well, if you are in the martial arts field, you are going to move the same chi in the same meridians, but to be able to move your body in a way that it can be effective in combat. So, two completely different and opposite objectives, but using the same system. So, the form for cultivating a martial arts uh, qigong is applied qigong is different from the form to cultivate a therapeutic qigong, right? And so in our school we are essentially doing qigong for neidan, or we are doing qigong for the inner alchemy. So our qigong, it has elements of a martial qigong and elements of a therapeutic qigong. But more specifically, and what is um, it's to understand that our qigong is about opening the channel systems that is the most used channels to do internal alchemy, necessary to do internal alchemy, right? So this is one of the most important things in the practice to understand in the practice. So we talked about the meaning so far. We talked about the meaning of the term qigong, and we talked about that qigong can be very different. The practice can be very different, and that it is this difference is related to the objective uh, of that you are pursuing when you are practicing, right? This is one of the differentiation aspects. Other aspects could be about lineage. So one lineage do one movement in a certain way, the other in certain uh, different way, but the background objective is the same. So you can have like a Hungar style martial qigong that you're going to be very tight on your tendons and you're going to use your hand like that. And you can have Mantis style qigong that you're going to be more soft in the tendons and you're going to use the hands like that, or like doing movements like that. So uh, there are 10,000 or infinite forms. And so the main idea that we must understand here in this class is that which are the fundamentals behind the forms that assures to you that you are cultivating life force. in any practice. So one of the thing of this is the meaning of the thing that my teacher used to say. He used to say that you may have one forms of qigong, infinite forms, but if you do understand and practice the fundamentals behind it, you are not going to lose time, which means you're going to have the effects of the life cultivation that are energy for life, life purpose, longevity, health. These all are effects of the cultivation of qi. But if you do any form without the fundamentals, then he would say that we would be losing time, because it can be very pretty uh, looking for the outside. It can be artistic, but it um, not necessarily is doing the job of the qigong that is cultivating life. So in the class, we are going to start to understand the basic principles for that. And one of the basic principle is on the screen. I will make it bigger for you. So this is the idea, almost unique to Taoist, that all the channels in your body, all the energy, the channels that transmit the chi in your body, they have an origin point, a point of origin that we call the 0 point, or the genesis of authentic vitality. That is this point behind the navel and just a bit below, that is called the Tantien. So the Tantien is like the 0 point, or the point of origin for all this, the system of circulation. So if we look here at the drawing of meridians of the pathways from which the chi flows, these pathways, they have some tendons and some fascia related to them. So we have a lot of pathways to go. And so the basic thing is that the Tantien is the origin and the creation of all chi in the body. And so one of the fundamentals of Qigong is to opening the Tantien, or make it work, right? And so this is related to all those practices that you restore what they call original breathing, or lower abdominal breathing. So to open the Tantien, you can see the mirror, or the effect of the opening, if you can um, spontaneously breathe in the lower part of the body around the navel. And this is essentially done by a baby, by a human baby. It still breathes around the navel, right? The navel is the main source of energy income for a baby. And the idea behind it is that it is still a place of generating energy after the baby is cut from the mother. So practices of opening the Dantian is a basic practice, because it will turn on the generator of energy, right? So the other practices that follows it are the practices of alignment. And alignment is necessary to open the pathways. So one thing is to turn on the energy generator, but if you turn on the energy generator and you don't have a way for the energy to flow, so it will be blocked or stuck, and we don't want this. So most part the um, of the body forms that we do when doing qigong, they are designed to open these pathways, right? So I will show you some basic ideas about the pathway. So here we have, just before, here we have the Tantian. So it is navel, Mingmen, and this area in the triangle below the navel and the Mingmen is one way to find your Dantian. And so here we have a classical representation of these circulation channels that we call here in Western civilizations and cultures, you call it meridians, because I mean there is a translation like it would like be like the meridians of the earth, right? From a vertical perspective. But the real name for it are the Jinluo, and the Jinluo is an image that talks about a subterranean uh, river, a subterranean network of rivers. So it is the idea that there is a kind of water that flows in the underground because you cannot see it, and it flows like a pulse. It has waves of flowing. So this is the meaning of Jingmai. It's not the general term for that was translated as meridians. So the idea is that you have pathways that are not in plain sight, they are hidden somewhere below, and they are able to transmit this energy, this life force, right? So what we have understand as a good way of approaching the meridians is this idea of approaching it from the tendons, right? So we have here in the left the depiction of the bladder meridian in a Chinese medicine book. So this is depicted like that from old times. And here in the right, we have the depiction of what we call um, anatomic trail. And this idea comes from this guy here called the Thomas Mears. And what the guy did, he dissected tendons, looking at the direction of the tendon fibers, and he would notice that this direction has continuities and discontinuities in the tendons of the body, in the fascia of the body, the connective tissue. And he just followed what they call the continuities, and by following that, he would construct a trail. And at the end, the trail that was constructed was very near, very similar to what the ancient people from Chinese medicine and Taoism would describe as the tendinomuscular aspects of the meridian, that are the first layer of practice in Qigong. Here is another example. So here in the left, you have the meridian of the small intestine meridian, the fascia, the muscular and tendinomuscular fascia of the meridian in the Chinese medicine book. And here we have the same anatomic trail in Thomas Mears' anatomic studies. So we have this thing that it is about this trail, it's about these pathways, that the movements and the postures that you do in Qigong, they should be able to to do. So one of the things that is very important to notice is that if you have, how are your hands in the practice, right? Are your hands like that, your hands like that, or like that? So if your hands are like that, you are not stretching the tendons enough for the pathway to uh, be activated. So the practice of Qigong, one of the fundamentals is to be able to uh, lock your tendons or lock the network of tendons. This is one uh, next step of foundation. And then to move your body as a whole body. So for every movement, you should be moving your whole body. And we are going to see that in videos that I will show you soon. So here we passed three fundamentals: to open the Tantian, to lock your tendons, your tendinomuscular meridians, and to move your body as one piece. Before showing the videos, I will tell you one more thing, that is the idea of alignment. So the other fundamental, the fourth that we are talking today, is the idea of alignment, or the Zongding, or Zongding means central axis. So um, when you are practicing postures, standing meditation as it is called, the name in Chinese is Chanchuan, or when you are moving, uh, what the master says is that there is a way of maximizing the flow of qi, and this way is by alignments that look like the flow of water. So they are sinuous, they are spiraled, and they have curves. So it is very uh, the use of very vertical or very straight lines in Qigong, they have a purpose that is mainly um, related to stretching the tendons in a way that it can purge the Shachi. But for cultivating Qi in the long term, it has to be curved, sinuous, and spiraled. So here we have these ideas of looking for the spheres when you are practicing Chanchuan or standing meditation. And here we have this idea of the Zongding, or the central axis, right? You should be able to identify the central axis to be able to look at your body from outside to inside and to feel this central axis, to move from it. So this would be the fifth fundamental of today. Here at the left, we have a person training that has not reached the central axis. So you can see that her spine is slightly bent backwards. Here you have the same person after the correction that we done in the classes. And here you see that the spine, the top of the head, the perineum is all aligned. So when you are like that, and when you have the other fundamentals, so you have the minimum possible set, the necessary set of foundations that are activated for the chi to be able to be generated and flow, right? So this is the idea behind all of this. So reviewing: opening the Tantian, interlocking the tendon and fascia, moving the body as a whole, uh, having your forms in a spiral or circular way, and finding the central axis. We could go more into the next foundation, that would be the grounding. But for today, I will start on those for you to study and dive deeper on your next practice. So the idea is to observe when you lose one of those, how the generation of chi or the flow of chi gets weaker. And so I will show you some videos now for you to understand that you the effects, possible effects of those things. So here, this man was one of my teachers. So I may assure you that this is completely real, because I have experienced myself in my body, and I can transmit some part of it to other bodies too. So here it goes again. So you can see that is a very small movement that generates an enormous amount of power in the person that is receiving it, right? So this is one example of moving the whole body. It's You need very small external movement, because the internal movement of the whole body and all the system of fascia, they are totally connected. Another example, this one I don't know personally. I may tell you, and this is one of the things that you should understand after this class, is that uh, you can learn how to see if the body is moving with all these principles together. So let's see this guy here. You see here his arm. So you see that his hands, they have the fingers like that, and he makes a spiral movement in his arm. So it has the tendon is stretching and releasing. And so you may understand that this is a sign of a true mastery of Qigong. Let's see the rest.
来后面你了。你这是大，试用试一下啊。
Yeah, this second part is a bit hard to see and hard to understand, but the first one, it was very clear that he was opening and stretching the energy through the tendons, right? So when you are practicing in our system, in our school, we are very concerned about practicing with the fundamentals, so you can reach the maximum effect. So next time your teacher tells you about your hand, tells you that you should stretch more the tendons, that you should align more the lines of force and the lines of muscular tendons and skeleton in your body, understand that this is necessary for doing a good practice of Qigong. Okay, so we are reaching the end of this presentation, and I will open for you in the chat if you have some commentary to do, some question to ask. Okay, okay. So, well, so I hope you can enjoy those explanations and you can use it. You can use them in your next class. Okay, and see you next month in our theoretical class. Bye bye.